And we're live now. Okay. So we have a church. Like we just got a page moved Thursday. I spoke to you.
Oh, yes, thank you very much.
Spill the water on the way. Okay, and we have a quorum. Yes, we have a quorum. There. Calling the meeting to order at 4:05. And before I start, I just wanted to let you all know who is here. In person, we have myself, Tim Saban, Laura Newstead, our vice chair, Lori Clarkson, and Judy Quinn. And online, we have Joe McGrail and George Vazvatikas, David Bushy, Judy Barrigas, and John Flores are all unable to join today for personal reasons. So before I start anything, everyone had a chance to review the minutes. Okay, so any questions? Not, take a motion to approve.
So moved, Laura Newstead.
Thank you. I'll second. Quinn.
All in favor, Tammy Saban.
Aye.
Laura Newstead.
Aye.
Troy Clarkson.
Aye.
Joe McGrail.
Aye.
Judy Quinn. Aye. George Vazvatikas.
Aye.
I should have clarified that was for the March 10th meeting, so please add that to the motion. And also, we had another special meeting, public meeting on March 19th. Yeah, I have a motion to approve.
So moved, Laura Newstead.
Second.
Second, Troy Clarkson.
Okay, all in favor, Tammy Saban.
Aye.
Laura Newstead. Aye. Troy Clarkson.
Aye.
Joe McGrail.
Aye.
Judy Quinn. Aye. George Vazvatikas.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Passes. So, first of all, welcome trustees, staff, faculty, and guests. I take this time to acknowledge the last 6 months have brought significant unexpected challenges that demanded patience, flexibility, and strength from every member of our college. Our ability to adapt and support one another and stay focused on our mission is something worth recognizing and honoring. I would be remiss if I did not take this time to thank my fellow trustees for their diligence through the many extra meetings and uncertainties. Thank you. Their care and consideration throughout the process has been admirable and was always in the best interest of our entire college community at heart. I also thank the faculty, staff, and students for their confidence during a time of uncertainty. Your commitment to the college is recognized and appreciated. Together, we begin a new chapter. One defined not by the difficulties behind us, but by our possibilities ahead. This chapter has already begun with the steadfast leadership of our now acting president, Dr. Green. Dr. Green's appointment has been confirmed and approved by Commissioner Nellie Ortega. Dr. Green, your commitment to collaboration, transparency, and academic excellence offers us a renewed sense of direction and hope. Thank you for your willingness to lead our institution. The board is now about to take steps in the coming weeks to identify an interim president who can begin this summer and carry out our mission over the next year while we embark on the process of choosing a permanent president to lead Cape Cod Community College. We will be joined by DHE's legal counsel at an upcoming board meeting where she will outline the formal presidential search process prescribed by the Board of Higher Ed. And per their guidelines, the presidential search will include the formation of a search committee representative of faculty, staff, students, members of the board, and of the Cape Cod community. I am really excited about our new beginning. Let's look forward. We have graduation coming, and I heard yesterday that we have over 640 graduating students, which is unprecedented. Very exciting times ahead. We do have one sad announcement, and that is that our student trustee, Sarah Gutierrez, has had to resign because she had to withdraw from classes. And it is a requirement of the Board of Higher Ed that she is enrolled. And during the perseveration, she sent me a nice letter and had it somewhere. I don't know where I did with it. But anyway, she was thanked us for the experience. She enjoyed it. She did it with much regret, but she found it necessary for her own personal health and safety. So moving on. You will notice that there's an Exhibit C, a letter of concern that I received from our executive, the executive members of the something to that effect. Executive board, the executive board of faculty members. I think a lot of that has been resolved. I actually did respond recently, confirming that this has been, their questions are answered. I think Dr. Green wants to give an update on the 3 operational items that, if you want to do that now, that would be great.
Sure. So just wanted to address a few of the concerns that were raised in the letter, specifically regarding, and I'll have another update toward the end of this meeting as well, about all of the things that we've done and all of the accomplishments that we've done over the course of this year. In terms of the ADA compliance piece, we are moving forward with that. We have been all year. We do have our wonderful faculty who are at the Teaching and Learning Center who are actually doing an amazing job and an amazing amount of work to make sure that our faculty are trained, that we'll meet that first deadline of April 24th, I believe it is, for syllabi compliance. There is still some negotiation going on about what the full rollout is going to look like, but once we have that in place, we'll have a plan for the ADA compliance piece. We did also have a meeting with the Distance Education Committee, and we have a plan for moving forward regarding the different modalities they're going to be doing. We actually offer quite a few modalities here at the college. I think it's around 60% roughly are in modalities other than face-to-face, and then 40% are face-to-face courses. So we're in excellent shape for that. But we're going to be moving forward strategically, working with the Distance Education Committee to refine what we're offering. Also, with regard to scheduling, just really making sure that everything is first and foremost student-centered and student-focused in terms of scheduling, to make sure that we are giving students the things that they want, and that we're meeting their schedules, and also providing in the modalities that they would like, including making sure that we continue to have excellence in teaching and quality pedagogical strategies that are being used regardless of modality. I believe that those were the main concerns of the letter. I do, like I said, also have some updates in my report that I'll give at the end of the meeting.
Thank you.
Some other highlights.
Thank you very much. I think I'm looking forward to more open dialogue between also the board and also the executive members, and which has already started. So I'm really excited about that too. Okay. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our vice chair for the financial personnel report.
Right, and now we're going to call on clerk to walk us through the recommendation and proposal for student fees for fiscal year 2027.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chris.
Are you gonna move it back or? Just one thing maybe in terms of providing a little bit of an overview. Just as I say that. So on the student fees, I think there's a few points that we just need to make sure that we kind of identify up front. I think the first is that when the advent of free community college came out, that legislation included a proviso that you had to limit the amount of fees that you could, or the increase in the fees that you could have. So actually, it has two indicators, if you would. One, they have that you can never go above 4.5%. And then the other is that you should be able to use a price deflator that the state generates for Chapter 70, which is a public school indicator, but it's also used for, in this case, this legislation. Price deflator is a little bit different. And actually right now for this year, it is 2.76%. So all of our fees are essentially capped at 2.76% unless we were to roll out a brand new fee and a brand new program, which we obviously don't do very often. The first slide here just kind of gives a sense for the revenue and the expenditures over the last 4 years. So this is in the material. So if people want to look at it in more detail, please feel free to do so. The second slide is the CPI, and the CPI, as I indicated, one of the indicators you could see in 21 and 22, which is really kind of the heart of the pandemic. We were at 7% and 6.5. For this year, 2026 is 2.4. You'll notice that I said 2.76. That's just the difference between the price deflator versus the traditional CPI. The price deflator tends to get more localized to governmental agencies. One of the things that on the credit hours, just to kind of show, and I'm going to kind of update this graph, I think just to kind of show that we have pre-2020 would be kind of the pre-pandemic year. And then what happened during the pandemic, and you can see from 21 to 23, that we really struggled with the pandemic in terms of losing people because trying to fit so many people into a classroom and such was a challenge. But with the advent of free community college coming about the same time that those pandemic elements were receding, that we have really done pretty well of increasing enrollment. I think it's been a little bit since I've looked, but I think we've been in the top 3 out of the 15 schools for increased enrollment over the last 5 semesters. So whatever we're marketing here is working in terms of people having an interest. And I think that goes to a large extent by the quality of the staff and faculty that we have at the college. In terms of in the time I've been here, we've always wanted to try to have where we have a affordable value for students. So what this actually shows is just kind of where we are in terms of our the other 14 schools plus us. And we've always wanted to try to stay in the lower half to provide a quality at a reasonable cost. So you can see where we are in that. I also did include in here the projected fee, that 2.76. They do allow us to round it up to the nearest dollar. So thank God they don't have us put in there 50 cents or 52 cents. I mean, it makes it a little easier to say to someone what the fee is. And then this also is one that we've shown in the time that I've been here, kind of an indicator of, if you would, community wealth as well as median household income. So you can see on the per capita income in this column and then on the median. And then when you take the 9 credits and what that is, we're at 12.1%, which you can see we're 4th from the bottom. So even in really in the bottom third for affordability, if you would. In terms of the different fees that we have, I did the main fee already. This is to go through, and in the materials, there's kind of two things that are broken out. One is these are the individual fees that we have that go to program specific. So I will kind of go through these, and the ones that we did not make any changes, we did include in the packet some material that shows the entire fee schedule, that shows the existing fee structure as it is, and the changes versus the ones that we're not changing. In terms of the ones who are changing, the applied music fee is $408 and it's going up to $420. I know there's someone in the audience that wanted me to do even better. Unfortunately, we're capped at 2.76. So even though right now that fee or the actual charge is closer to 600, we're capped at how much we can actually go up on that. Everything else is kind of consistent with what we did last year with just a 2.76 rounded up. So we have an aviation maintenance center fee. I think that generates about $150,000, and the additional fees are probably closer to 300 to 400,000. So we're only doing a portion of that, but we are trying to recover some of the costs. The maintenance of some of the technology up there with all the simulators is very expensive. So we are trying to increase the fee on that, again, just by what we're allowed. On the good news front, and I'm glad that we have a representative from AMT here, we had for a long time under the previous program a toolbox fee that was $2,630. And the leadership down there is in process of working with Snap-on Tools to come up with a new program. And what that will be is a student will receive a voucher by each semester of about $500. They'll get $1,000 worth of value from Snap-on Tools as a voucher, and then they'll be able to buy much more specific equipment to where they are at the time of the program and what they're learning in that. So I think it's a much more creative way to provide a value to our students, and it's $600 cheaper than what they're currently paying. On some of the other ones, culinary arts, someone will say, hey, you don't know how to do math, Chris. You went from $10 to $11. We had to do try to keep round dollars. So that one, we did not increase all fees. So I think overall that standard is 2.76 across all fees. So we do have a little bit of flexibility to roll some of those up. Funeral services, health science fee, and the phlebotomy program fee are ones that we've done that just continue. In terms of, we did decide on, we had a program fee in there for Macy, which basically just said for whatever classes students take, you pay the regular rate. I don't know why we had that in the schedule. You're paying for a normal class, so why do we have to differentiate that out? So we decided we're just going to eliminate that, because you sign up for a class, you sign up for a class. It's really no different. So that was just more of a cleaning up, if you would. Nursing, dental, hygiene, and dental assisting, paramedic, just a very high cost program for a lot of materials that go in, disposable materials. So we have that in there. And then it's kind of same for phlebotomy. On Project Forward, I think we're going to forego that this year. We had a new program, so I had that pending, but I think we will forego any recommendation. And then on the another area, online science course material fee. This was a spinoff left over from the pandemic that students could get course materials that would be sent to their house, kind of a lab kit in a box. We've decided that through the faculty, staff, and leadership, that we just treat that as a book purchase. So they just buy that directly through the bookstore and get that. Unfortunately or fortunately, we've had drug testing fee on the books for a long time. It's now becoming more prevalent, and we have to make sure that we have that. So we did increase that fee. That's been kind of the same for a long time. We did increase that because we are engaged in drug testing activities for students that do clinicals in different locations. And then the lab fee is just the $1 for, again, disposable items that are used in the classroom setting. Just in terms of the fees, as I mentioned, there was a cap on it. One of the other things is I think that this is still friendly to the students, because with the free community college, most of these costs are absorbed within that free community college. So the students are not paying these out of pocket. They're getting that paid through the various funding mechanisms that fund free community college. And that's what I have for the fee. I would recommend a request for a vote.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had one question if I could.
Sure. Thanks, Joe.
Can you hear, I'm sorry. Can you hear me okay? I apologize. I'm traveling.
We can hear.
Go ahead, Joe.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Do we know either community colleges, from what you've heard, all extend fees to that cap of 2.76 as well? Is that like, will everybody's credit hour costs go up in the chart showing the other community colleges?
Yes, thank you for the question, Joe. I should have brought that up. We have been advised by MAC, which is our association, that each of the community colleges has been recommended to go up to the full amount of the 2.76. And part of that is that because there's a cap of 4.5, you can see when I did the CPI that there were 2 years where it was 7% and 6.5. If we were to get back to that, which let's hope not, but the signs aren't looking very good that inflation is on the increase, that if we go up to those 7 and 6% again, we're still capped at 4.5. So I think the MAC folks have recommended to go up to the full amount, because you cannot go back and increase after you've had your one year opportunity to do so. So I do anticipate
and then
schools will do that.
Okay, thank you. And my other question was, I guess, and I know your financial update is, I think, one of the next presentations, but in a time when the college is seeing record enrollment, why do we have to increase fees for students? Why are we not able to take additional revenue that we're getting from increased enrollment and not increase student fees? And I'm not by any means saying that we shouldn't do what we're recommended to do, but I'm just trying to understand from a student cost perspective. And you talked about value. When everything is going so great, why do we have to pass along increased fees to students?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, a fair question. One thing, Joe, that I think about is I've been here now for coming up on 6 years, and this presentation is so dramatically different than what I would have done 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we were, and I think there was a reference to this, where we missed our opportunity and we had costs go higher. So we had to do a fee increase that was probably closer to 5 to 10% because we kind of fell behind. So we're in a good cycle right now. Enrollment went up by 25% in the fall. It then went to 15% in the spring. So trying to anticipate what the trends are going to be over the next 2 to 3 years is a difficult mission. What we have here is I do have in the budget a 5% increase in enrollment. And the last 2 years, we've seen budget growth and revenue growth because it's been in excess of that 5%. But also you could see on that chart from earlier that we had a period of stagnation. Let's see if I can, I'll see if I can just flip back to that just to kind of, and I think it's really on those periods where you have prior to the pandemic, we're coming down. The pandemic really levied some issues. The pandemic too, in fairness, it was some of the money that we got from federal aid that was one-time money that we didn't need. So we put it into build reserves. So when we had a rainy day, but you can see a chart like this, the last 3 years has been very positive. How long will that last? And will we go back to what cycle for the next 3 is really the question. So I think as MAC advised, let's do the 2.76 because you can't go back and recover that if we need to.
Madam Chair.
Understood. Thank you so much for that explanation. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Joe, just as a follow-up, this is Troy. I asked the identical question that you posed in the finance subcommittee meeting. And I think just to highlight the answer that Chris provided then, because I was skeptical about raising fees given the robust revenues as well. But as you mentioned a few minutes ago, Chris, for most students, the fees are covered under the free tuition. So in most cases, we're not increasing the burden on our students, even by increasing the fees.
That's correct. Absolutely. That's correct. Yeah, the only time, and I just want to, you never want to say 100% because it's not 100%, but if a student comes from Rhode Island or a different state, they're not eligible for free community college. But I think for the large number, a large percentage of students, that most of, if not all, the costs are in fact covered. So the state is giving the money in one form, Mass Educated, Mass Reconnect, and then they put a cap on so that way different community colleges couldn't charge 20% and really just create an additional windfall.
Any more questions regarding fees, students? Okay. We have a motion to accept the adjustments to the fiscal year 2027 fee schedule as proposed.
Tammy Saban.
Joe McGrail, so moved.
Tammy Saban, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Tammy Saban.
Aye.
Laura Newsted.
Aye.
Troy Clarkson.
Aye.
Joe McGrail.
Aye.
Judy Quinn. Aye. George Vasquez.
Excellent. Thank you very much. The next three items I have are informational. So the first one is kind of the budget report. One of the things that, as I've indicated, that when you project the budget out at 5% and you have enrollment at 25 or 15, you're going to get a positive cash flow. So just as a point of reference, this time last year, we were about $7 million. Now we're about $9 million. You go through though, and you can kind of see in here that the increase in salaries, that the costs have gone up, and we're able to meet those because the enrollment has gone up faster. Just to point out on this chart too, that you could see that we have in the box on the bottom, kind of where we are in terms of reserves, and we have been able to kind of build up where we have a $6 million that's allocated for basically being able to do projects and things of that nature. When we did the science building, we needed to have a $3 million match to kind of make that project more viable for the state to approve. And then about 5 years ago, we did create the stabilization fund, which was really designed that when you have those peaks and valleys, you have a resource to kind of draw off of to be able to accommodate that. So we have taken some of those additional resources to put towards building projects that we will need to do because the state wants to see a match. They don't want to fund everything 100%. They want to see a college put something up. As well as our foundation did a tremendous amount of work when we did the science building. But just in terms of the current fiscal situation, that's a snapshot. And haven't taken any questions. And then on procurements, we do have just one procurement that fell between the 50 and 100,000. It is for CrowdStrike, which is part of our cybersecurity protection. It is a recurring cost, and we are in the third year of a 3-year contract. So this will be up for renewal next year. I think it's been a valuable resource to our cybersecurity protections. And then this one, Madam Chair, continues to push me about trying to get additional information as quickly as we can. So I am going to do a preliminary budget. I feel much more comfortable with the revenue piece. Quite honestly, on the expenditure side, the budgets were due in on Friday. So we are in the process of absorbing that information. So what you see will change between now and the next board meeting. Just a little bit on the state appropriation. This is one where it's kind of interesting dynamics that are happening up at the legislature, where the governor put in 18.3 million, which sounds great. It's really kind of a level funding. It covers what we had last year, plus a little bit for collective bargaining adjustments. So not a tremendous amount. The governor did not recommend anything for formula funding. The legislature last year did put in money for formula funding, a very modest amount. So I have some allocation for that. And then I tried to separate out, and we'll try to get a little bit more detailed as we're able on the portion of the money that we get from the state, from Mass Reconnect and Mass Educate. That will translate and actually show up in the tuition and fee line. But for this purpose, just to kind of show a number and a reference to give people that. The tuition and fees, we did take a much deeper dive on that. So we did include a lot more material. That is a net number. So I don't understand why we do what we have to do, but we collect tuition just to give it back to the state. So instead of just waiving the tuition and not having it, they require we do that. So there is a little bit of math that goes in. So that's why we have it where tuition is, it's a net number. On other, this is mostly CCAPE and Project Forward are kind of the big indicators of this, where they bring in revenue from program operation. Interest, which I alluded to this last meeting, that about 5 years ago or 6 years ago, we generated out of interest based upon our reserves that we had at the time with lower interest rates, about $35,000. And now we're able to offset $700,000 for next year's budget. So I used to have an old box that said, anytime you can use other people's money, that's always an advantage to an organization. So this is an example of using other people's money to pay some of our bills. On the transfer number, this is one that we would actually take out of reserves to put towards capital programs and one-time expenditures. So we do carry that as part of historically in the time I've been here, we've always carried that number, and we have fortunately never had to draw into reserves. I think one time we did come as low as our cash position. We only netted out about $240,000. So that has fluctuated. We've been close at times. Just some of the things that I already talked about, the additional money with supplemental funds towards the MCCC contract and then the AFSCME contract. Tuition and fees kind of lays out some of the indicators on that. And then kind of where we are in terms of and this is a similar slide to what I already showed, just on the where we are, or the lower half for our current rate, and then with our new rate, assuming everyone does go up by that 2.76 rounded up, we should pretty much stay in that same position that we have been in. Just another same chart that just shows the increase of 5% from 26 to 27. And then CCAPE revenue, Project Forward, and the miscellaneous facility rentals, the interest, and then the transfer. This is an intentional drawdown of retained earnings, just to kind of put that to you. Success, I think this is the third year where they're keeping it level funded, which doesn't really help when you have increased costs and just a cost of living adjustment for folks. But the state has continued to level fund that. I would anticipate they'll do the same this year. I don't have any indication that they will change. And on that, under the program requirements, that 80% be spent on personnel support. And here's the my best guess for what the budget will look like. I might flip just forward. I will go back to this, but just kind of the highlights. So I did put in on full-time salaries. There's no collective bargaining agreement that's been settled for 27 yet. So I have to kind of estimate or plan. So in my assumption, I have about 5% with 2% for there's always changes. People increase a grade or have a grade change. So about 5% for a cost of living adjustment, if you would, and then 2% for those adjustments. One thing that was interesting is that we had about $200,000 in different salaries that were part of grant programs that are now being shifted over to the college. So one of them was on the dental assisting program. That was a 3-year commitment for the college to use the money to do it. Once that commitment was over, we had to shift it on to the college. So that's one where it's amazing how quick 3 years goes in some respects. So that one is one. We also had some Mass Reconnect money that we used in enrollment management that we have to now, that was a 50-50 split. So we're absorbing that salary into the budget, as well as in the wellness department, we had a federal grant that was SAMHSA that is also coming to an end. So now we're transitioning that onto the regular operating budget. I did put in there about $300,000 for new positions. So we need to determine what those new positions are. We don't have that yet formally identified. On the contract services, that's actually a fairly big number. That's basically adjunct salary. They did do a contract, a collective bargaining agreement that was 1.5 years. So it's a retroactive look. And that does look like we're close to 10%. About 8% through the adjustments over that 1.5 year period, plus 2% for additional adjustments to pay as that has a layout. We did put in here, for planning purposes, some added security at AMT Plymouth. So that program, 75 students about 3 or 4 years ago, and it's up to 240, I think was the latest number. Is there a different number?
No, that's the right number.
240, okay. So, and then Hyannis, I know we've heard of Hyannis looking for some assistance in terms of, it's a, hate to say Barnstable is a beautiful community, but it has some sections that are less than desirable. So we are looking at potentially putting some security down there in forms of contract security. And then on the supplies, which is just really the line item that I would use, we are looking at doing some work at Sea Cape to try to expand that operation and have building improvement and rent, also security cameras. And I just put in for planning purposes, 500,000. That number could go up depending upon what we want to invest in the different efforts that we want to accomplish. Most likely that would all come from that retained earnings number because it's basically one time. And then on technology, we have about 150,000 towards AI initiative. And then in terms of Wi-Fi upgrades and Microsoft licenses due to increased enrollment, that's created real stress on the IT budget. So we have an allocation for that. And then we did build into the budget for FY26, 250,000 contingency for federal changes that impact college operations. The grants team, I think, has done an outstanding job where we have had occasions where we did not get a grant or a grant ended mid-grant. So we have used some of that money to offset. But for the most part, the grants people have been very good about finding and identifying how to keep those grant dollars going. So just to kind of go back, you'll see some of the full-time salary. Overall, the revenue is about 9.3%. The full-time salary, 10.6, 10% for the contracted services, as I've alluded to. And then some of these other ones are just indicated by what I highlighted. The bottom line is that it's a balanced budget, just slightly, I think, by a little bit about $5,000. But as this material comes in, I think you'll see a balanced budget next month, and we'll make the fine tune and the adjustments as needed. I do also appreciate board member Corey Clarkson did take a look. I've been asked to kind of do a little bit more of a comprehensive budget message that kind of lays out different elements of the budget. So it is in there. The intent that I kind of have on that is to hopefully make an executive summary that will be 1 or 2 pages that will kind of lay out things simply, have a text be a little bit more. And then for people that really want to read, you'll have additional materials that you can take a deeper dive. So that's kind of the intent behind kind of doing that. So for the reader that wants an abbreviated version, you'll have the executive summary. And then the budget message itself, we'll try to keep the 10 to 15 pages. And then if you want to see how the sausage is made out of the state, we'll provide additional materials just to kind of show that as well. And that is still a work in process. So I did that as a draft with the intention of soliciting comments, and I have received some already that we will look at making some improvements to. And that's what I have.
Thank you. And thank you, Trustee Clarkson, for taking a deeper dive and helping us get. Appreciate it.
Happy to do that. You mind if I
No,
just give a brief overview?
please.
Just, I provided, just some thoughts. Thank you to the chair for providing me this, draft document ahead of time. So, I was able over the weekend to do a pretty deep dive on it and to provide some thoughts, to the chair and President Green. I have hard copies here today. I apologize to the trustees that are online. I will email it to you when I get home. But it really just highlights some of the discussions that Vice President Clark has been having. And really it repeats some of the themes that I struck at this meeting last year and then in our strategic planning session last summer. And it's really to make sure that we're telling a story with this budget for our students, our faculty, and our staff and the public, so that they have a deeper understanding about how we're allocating resources, why we're allocating resources like that, and how we're benefiting the students and the larger community. So I won't tick through, I have 9 items. But essentially, I'm encouraging Vice President Clark to just rework the document to tell that story, to provide more graphs that are comparative of year to year, to explain the relationships, for instance, between student success and student fees and tuition. Looking at, for example, I'll read this one. An explanation of the relationship between credit hours and the number of students and some graphs related to that, how free tuition is impacting how we do business. So really just a broader overview of how this budget prioritizes the work we do here at the college. And so they've been well received, and I thank you for that. And I look forward to continuing with this process.
Yeah, thank you. One thing I take the point very well that, I know most people are visual learners, so they like to have the charts and graphs. So we will try to put in an additional number of those.
Great. Thank you for working with our trustee. I do have a question, if that's okay, because, to trustee Carson's point, for me, I think it would be really helpful on the tuition piece, tuition revenue, to actually have a breakdown, another line item that shows the paying student tuition versus just the free tuition, because if that ever goes away, we're going to have to make quick plans. So it would be nice to kind of see that ratio.
I think we can break out what comes from Pell, what comes from Mass Reconnect, what comes from Mass Educate. We should be able to kind of break out some of those.
I think it's going to be important because administration could change and everything could change. But I trust that Troy will work on that with you, and the two of you will come up with something that's really helpful and informative.
I know Jacqueline's area includes financial aid, so I'll need a lot of assistance with financial aid, as well as I think I provided some of this to Suchi to see what IR can provide.
Right.
So we'll try to do some elements like that can
Right.
show. It's hard because one of the things you want to show is the full-time equivalent of students, and about 70 to 80% of our students are part-time.
Right.
And with 6 credit hours, it's hard to show some of those numbers, but we will see what we can do to try to show a better story of who our students are.
Joe McGrail has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Joe?
Thank you very much. I just had a question regarding the increases in safety and security costs for next year. Has there been any incidents that have kind of prompted that? And I'm just wondering if something is more urgent, then maybe we can't wait till next year to do the right thing for the students and faculty.
Yeah, I don't think there's any specific incidents. I think just as an example at AMT, when you have 75 students in a program, that's a lot different than at 240 and headed to 300 and higher. So I think we're just trying to keep ahead of that. And then Hyannis, I think that we've received requests over the years, and let's do something before we have something happen. So we're trying to kind of catch up with some of these. It's kind of a fine balance where you don't want to have students think that they're getting educated in the police state. So how do you create a sense of security? So I think the cameras and other things that we're talking about potentially putting in will have some value as well. So it will be a comprehensive look, but I think primarily we've been fortunate that we have not had any significant incidents that would drive this, but we're just trying to get ahead of it.
Right, and Joe, just to piggyback on that, one of the things that we've heard from faculty, staff, and students, and also in light of the unfortunate events that happened at Brown University recently, is to ensure that the college itself is in a viable place. We're taking a look holistically at security measures here at the college, including operations, staffing, training. We did have a training for a professional day for our faculty and staff, and about specifically focused on security. Again, this was something that came from faculty and staff. This is also something that is one of our top priorities for cabinet, is really, again, making sure that we have plans in place, and that we also are looking holistically at having things in place prior to anything happening. Particularly also, like I said before, we're training just to make sure that everyone really moving toward creating a culture of safety, similar to what AMT has been doing at the Plymouth campus, but branching it out at all of our locations to ensure that we have those aspects in place and that we feel like we're in a good position with regard to safety and security across the board. So it was a top priority for us.
That's great. Thank you very much for that, that information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I only have one comment, and that is, as you finalize, similar to last year, when you have new FTEs, you add, you bring what titles those are, what role are they? Any other questions or comments on the budget planning?
Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you. And thanks for bringing us a draft. I know that it wasn't easy.
So good afternoon, everyone. We'll start first with the personnel report for this quarter. What we'd like to bring to your attention is two appointments. The first one is for Elizabeth McKee. She's coming in as an assistant professor, first year coordinator for dental hygiene. Ms. McKee is well qualified for the dental hygiene faculty position, having worked as a lead dental hygienist in the private dental practice, Plymouth Bay Dental, for 8 years. She acquired clinical and didactic experience in an academic setting, having worked part-time at 4Cs for the past 3 years in the radiology lab as a radiology lab instructor, as well as dental assisting in the radiology course as the course coordinator, and additional time spent as lead clinical instructor for dental hygiene. She also worked at Massachusetts College of Pharmacy in Boston, where she worked as dental hygiene clinical instructor for 1 semester. She's also a graduate and alum of 4Cs, having earned both an associate's in health sciences as well as an associate in dental hygiene, prior to going on and earning her bachelor's degree in health information management at Southern New Hampshire University. She is currently enrolled in a master's degree program in higher education at the American College of Education, with an anticipated completion date of November 2026. She'll be a very welcomed addition to our dental science program. Additionally, would like to call to your attention the appointment of Mary Ware. She's coming in as a learning specialist transition with our Project Forward. She brings the learning disability specialist role over 13 years of experience supporting students with intellectual, developmental, and learning disabilities at the district, residential, and program-based levels. Her prior professional experiences include having worked as an adapted physical education teacher, special education teacher in the Barnstable Public Schools for 8 years, as well as having served as a special education teacher at the Latham School in Brewster for 2 years. Her educational preparation includes a bachelor's degree in international affairs, global public health at the George Washington University, as well as a master's degree in special adapted physical education at Western Michigan University. So these are our two appointments. Next, we'd like to call your attention to information only, our announcement of retirement. It's the announcement of President John Cox. President Cox joined the college as president in July 2012. During his tenure, he oversaw the establishment of the Aviation Maintenance Technology Program, as well as the Funeral Service Program. In addition, Dr. Cox led the development of the Frank and Maureen Wilkins Science and Engineering Center, which opened up in 2022 and features advanced laboratories and sustainable technology. And next, I'd like to bring to your attention a resignation. This is from Catherine Case, who had served as an accountant two in the procurement and accounts payable office. After more than 4 years serving the college in accounts payable, Ms. Case has submitted her resignation to pursue a happy retirement, we hope. So these are informational only. Pass those on. Thank you. Next for this is the quarterly report on talent management. First thing I want to call up to your attention is for the number of metrics that we track over time. They cover a variety of different approaches to talent management. And what we're going to do for this particular quarter is to bundle 3 of them together that are related and track those over time based on this year and last year. So the first thing I do is call your attention to the new position searches benefited. So when we look at year to date, fiscal year 2026, we are already at 44 new positions advertised. That's considerably more than this time last year when we had 28. And that is actually bringing us on par with where we were by the end of fiscal year 2024 when we had 47 new positions. So coming from the new positions at 44, we're looking now at of those 44 positions, how many candidates did we interview for the full-time position? Year to date, we've interviewed over 154 candidates. That's considerably more than this time last year when we interviewed 132. But when you compare it to fiscal year 2024, we did over 269 interviews. So our hope is to not hit that mark and to find really great candidates where we are right now. So that's where we are for the candidates measurements in terms of how it's ebbed and flowed over time. This past summer, as measured in the September report, we had 28. When compared that to last year, it was 45. The metrics as reported out in January, which is from September 1 to December 31st, we interviewed 73 as opposed to 46 the year prior. And just in this April reporting quarter, starting at the end of beginning of January, we've already interviewed 53. So our numbers are a little more spiky than they were this time last year. Last time they were very even, 45, 46, and 41. So it's just it's been busy, but it's been busy in a different way than it was last year. And then next, converting those candidates interviewed into total positions filled for a benefited position. So this time, in this year to date, we've filled 28 full-time positions. That is less than we did this time last year when we filled 37. In comparing the two previous quarters, it's only this quarter where the numbers have been about the same. We interviewed 15 for this past quarter, and this time last year we interviewed, we hired 15 for this past quarter, and the same time last year was 14. But in terms of overall numbers, there was 46 candidates hired last year. Right now, 28. It's not entirely clear that we'll need 46. So if we right now have 5 open positions full time, so we may not hit 46, and if that's the case, it's because we already had positions filled and we didn't need them. So that's our metrics. Next quarter, we might do the same thing over part-time. So you can start to see these things bundle through time rather than just a wall of metrics that may not look connected. Okay. Any questions on that? Or yes.
Thank you. I noticed on page 59 is the very first matrix that you presented, which is a summary, that there are, if I'm reading this correctly,
Sure.
there were 28 full-time positions filled and 133 part through this current year, through March 31st.
Sorry about I'm sorry, I'm actually looking at it. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
It's a few slides back, but I don't even know if we saw that slide up here. So my question is exactly why so many part-time compared to full-time?
Great question. Partly it's the increasing enrollment that some of these fields they need adjuncts coming in to pick up the coverage on it. Not all fields bring in with it full-time employment, but if we look at our numbers, we do have more full-timers now than we did in prior years. So those numbers are going up, but if we're seeing a spike in part-timers, it's because of primarily DCE.
Is that beneficial or advantageous for the students, or is it better for us to be looking at more employees?
I think there's a great deal of benefit for both, and I would just say certainly, you know, in terms of the connections between faculty and students, I think the overall overwhelming preference is for more full-timers. There's a sense that it's a stronger connection between the student and the faculty. I would say in terms of DCE, what you get in that regard is a wider breadth of experience. So you're really balancing two different, very important parts of the student's education, I would say.
I guess at some point it would be really interesting to see how many in each category, not just hired, but how many there are in each category.
Sure, yeah.
And if there's some kind of matrix with the success of the student. And you know, is this helpful to the full-time faculty, or is it detrimental?
Sure, I would, I certainly can bring, you know, in terms of breakdown where folks are.
Right.
What you'll see in terms of DCE faculty is many of our full-timers also teach DCE. So I think we'd have to look at it in terms of, you know, folks who are exclusively DCE or adjunct, those folks who are exclusively full-timers, and then probably see a metric where you see full-timers who teach DCE, as well as their full-time load. I don't know necessarily that there's a way, or even I don't know that measuring in terms of student success, I don't know how you would do that in a way that would not be require an awful lot of input from many people, because one person's measure of success may not be another's. So I would just say, I would start first with breakdown.
Yeah, let's get a matrix with the other breakdown.
Go ahead.
I think that's a great starting.
Excellent.
And then we can continue,
Sure. Okay.
just like the finance report with trustee Clarkson
Yes.
helping us, you know,
Yes, of
get
course.
some more data that makes sense and it's
So-
relevant.
If I can, let me call to your attention, the folks who have started with us this quarter. Okay, I'll start first with our, in academic affairs, Jonna Bagarova, who is our associate professor in biology, Naomi Cisprina, post-award grant specialist, Kristen Darcy, ECE retention specialist, Teresa Haganah, assistant professor in nursing, Marie Parker, administrative assistant 2 in dental sciences, Robert Potter, assistant professor at AMP, Robert Qualls, assistant professor at mathematics, Vera Sitchko, assistant professor in nursing, Julia Williams, assistant professor in mathematics. In our finance and operations division, we have Derek Howard as a maintenance maintainer 1. We also have Myrna Valle de Chavez, maintainer 1, second shift. In our institutional research and planning division, we have Max Yoakum as a data analyst. We have in our student services and enrollment management. These are all in our success funded programs. We have Tara Riley as the director of success, and she's joined by Meredith Sullivan as an academic advisor, as well as Brianna Walker, also academic advisor. Next, I want to call to your attention the employee status changes, and this is when we measure things like rank changes and tenure and retirements and reappointments for classifications. Okay. In terms of the numbers are pretty stable, which is, I think, what you want to see. So, for instance, under retirements in FY 2025, there's 6 retirements. This year to date, we have 6 as well. So we're not seeing huge spikes in that regard. In terms of terminations or resignations, this time last year we had 11. This time, right, as of now, we have 19. So that is spiky, much different than some of the other numbers. When we look at folks pursuing FMLA, PFML statutory leave in fiscal year 2025, we have 27. Year to date, fiscal year 2026, we have 24. And then lastly, when we look at workers' compensation, industrial accidents, for all of fiscal 25, we had 4, and year to date, we are at 3 for folks needing workers' comp. In terms of employee engagement, we've had financial planning check sessions presented for employees who are interested. This is offered by Corebridge Financial. In turn, we're also advertising our employee recognition breakfast. The notice was sent to faculty, staff, and administrators, and I do want to thank the very timely Joan Graney over there, who pointed out that arrival is at 8:30 with programming starting at 9. Okay, thank you, Joan, for your intervention. Much appreciated. In terms of compliance, we are in our yearly cycle of evaluations for our ASSA members. Started on February 1 and ends April 30th. This past quarter, we just finished the appointments for full-time MCCC faculty and unit professional members. And just as an FYI, typically this quarter, the HR office would send out the annual notice of Massachusetts Ethics Commission's conflict of interest law. compliance obligations. That has now shifted to the state. The state is actually sending out those notifications and tracking compliance. What we're doing locally is just following up as needed. Okay. In terms of case management, just want to call your attention to one item. This is a retitling and then a restating. This is under the new EEOC DRL filings. The prior listing had been EEOC/NLRB, National Labor Relations Board. That was a legacy label, and looking at it, we got rid of it because we're not a private employer. Our state agency, the Department of Labor Relations, is the agency to which folks would take employee grievance against employee concern against us as a state employer. We have restated that. We are currently we had a DLR hearing recently. There were 4 community colleges, Cape Cod Community College being one of them, which the state asked me. Unit has alleged that there's unit work being done by non-unit members. So the hearing process is for both sides to present their case and for the hearing officer to make a determination. So we wait for it on that. And in terms of the number of affirmative action cases and grievances going on, the numbers are very, very low, especially when you look at the sheer number of employees we have at any given time between full-time, part-time, DCE, student employees, could be over 500 in the semester. So these numbers are very small. And it's partly because of the collaborative nature between labor and management that we work so hard to maintain. So any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Foundation report, George, Vasilika started to be with us tonight, called me as I was walking in the door. And she had indicated that you would be giving us something of the foundation.
Yes,
George,
good evening and happy spring. I can't believe we're going to be talking about commencement and evening of excellence, but here we are fast approaching the end of the school year. So a few updates from Sarah and the foundation. Events for the calendar. Evening of Excellence is approaching on May 14th, 6 p.m. at Tilden. No RSVP required for trustees, so we're all encouraged to attend again May 14th at 6 p.m. We also have casino night on May 1st at Wequassett, and the golf tournament on Monday, June 8th. So details and sign up information on the foundation website, ccccfoundation.org. I am personally signed up for golf and looking forward to that along with casino night. And also just an update and a thank you from Sarah and the foundation for those of you who served on the scholarship review committee. I know several of our trustees were serving in those efforts. So thank you to everyone who took the time and care to read student applications. Everyone's looking forward to honoring those students next month in May at the Evening of Excellence. So that's all I have to pass along on behalf of Sarah and the foundation.
thank you very much, George. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
And thanks for being our liaison with the foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure to serve on the board, and that scholarship review process for me, I think 4 years ago, was really great insight into the college and into the community. So really enjoy my time on the board with the foundation folks.
Thank you. And now I will turn it over to Dr. Singh.
Great, thank you, Madam Chair. So we do have some reports. We'll begin with the nursing program update from Director Mary Jacobs.
So good afternoon, everybody. This is just my monthly update. So we continue committed to student success and continuous improvement. I think by now people are aware that our first time NCLEX pass rate for 2025.
I can't, sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no,
Sorry, can you hear me now? Is it not on? I can speak loud.
I don't know, they'll be able to hear you though with
Is this working?
No,
It might not be on.
sorry to interrupt, but.
That's okay. Is it working?
Oh, no, it's working now.
It's working now. Let me try that again. So, good afternoon. This is my monthly update on the nursing program. We continue very committed to our student success, engagement, and continuing quality improvement. I think most people are aware of that. Our first time in pass rate was below the benchmark for 2025. It came out at 75% and benchmark 80. In response, we've been implementing a very rigorous program to improve the outcome. The first quarter 2026 NCLEX RN first time pass rate data has not been released yet. I believe it's going to be released April 15th. So I just think we have a couple more people, which is tomorrow. So we currently have projected 113 graduates for 2026. And one of the things that we've been working, Patrick left, is with human resources very actively on filling our open positions because we've had quite a few. We're actively in the process of hiring an administrative assistant too, and she's accepted the position and she is coming. I'm very excited. She is coming the first week in May. We're actually have just moved up an evening weekend faculty member, so we'll see how that goes. We still have some open vacancies. The director for the Center for Nursing and Allied Health, there are 3 nursing faculty positions open, which includes the coordinator because that's faculty position was released down, the coordinator for the lab, as well as a senior coordinator for clinical practice, which is the CCP position, which is a new position and it's a really key position that really helps for clinical placement. It's a big position. I think they'll be very helpful for us. And I'm very encouraged because I do think that we will get applicants for these. And as I was saying before, that NCLEX RN outcomes has been probably our top priority as we've been integrating more of the questions into our labs, into our clinical, into everything that we're doing. I have met with the NCLEX RN adjunct faculty, with the students who've gone down to the cohorts and discussed our preparation plan besides what we're currently doing. We're going to have weekly structured review sessions for the full cohort of days and evenings, and individualized tutoring and target remediation. This did not occur last year. And so these faculty-led review initiatives will begin on May 2026. Please look, I did say students were graduating in March. I think that was a Freudian slip. It's May. And in addition, the program continues to strengthen its partnership with ATI to enhance readiness. Just last week on April 8th during our program meeting, we met with the ATI educator to review strategies and the importance. So they do take these preparatory tests before they do the ATI predictor, which tells them how they'll do on their NCLEX. And the importance of that is they do get a remediation out of that and they can look and see where they're weak. So it's different individually, right? So they have been doing these practice tests. And what we have found is if you do these practice tests, a couple of them before, and look at the remediation, it's very, very helpful. Certainly Evenings has been doing it and we're seeing the scores start to really rise. So I'm so hopeful. And there's going to be an ATI live review sessions on campus for the day option, May 13th through 15th from 9 to 4. And then for the evening option, May 15th through 17th, 9 to 4. So I'm very encouraged in this multi-layered approach. Just an upcoming engagement, the Nursing Advisory Board meeting scheduled for May 15th. So that's all I have. Is there any questions?
I do have a couple questions.
Okay.
When did they begin taking, this year's graduates begin taking the NCLEX exam?
When do they begin?
Yeah.
After they graduate, so they have to sign some forms and have their grades all set, and there has to be a certificate of graduation that we do. So they usually can begin after they graduate and all their forms are in. So they can probably start in June, July, and August. I look for that order. The more faster they can start, the better. But you also want them prepared.
Right.
So a lot of them were up with Jeanette because I have to sign a form that they're ready, good moral character. They have to do a Corey Sorry form. So they have to graduate first. And then that's why we did this right in May of have these
Right.
courses go. And so they could take it June, July, possibly August if they're not ready. I'd like to see them done that quarter. The faster they can do it, where they're comfortable, the better. I have some students that are already signed up, I believe, for June.
Great. Are we, I know we've had this conversation, I'm still not sure,
Okay.
Dan, so forgive me if it's already been
It's
answered.
okay.
But are we helping them with payment for the testing?
Not that I know of at this point. Not
So
that
I think that the board has actually directed several times
Okay.
that we want those students to test because that's prohibiting some of them from taking it, is what we've heard. So I don't know how we go about it.
I don't
The
know how we go.
foundation,
I don't know how we go about it, how we could do the reimbursement, because they actually have to pay it with this certificate of graduation. And I think it's maybe like 400 and something, so I don't know if there's no reimbursement that they can do, but they have to put this all together themselves. So I don't know if they have to submit for reimbursement or how that would go about. I can ask and find out. If this goes with everything, they have to have specific ID, specific papers with them. So it would have to be, I believe, a reimbursement.
I think that was the issue that, and now.
No, go ahead.
I think that was the issue that the Pershing of them ever brought up. I think they do have to pay
Yeah.
themselves if we can't pay on their behalf, but we'll do some research into that and see
Yeah.
if that's accurate and what we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely a reimbursement.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've asked several times, so I'd really like to try to move on that if we can. I don't know, if it's through the foundation, maybe, because we talked about that at one.
Right.
point.
Yeah, we can look into it.
But just so that they will sign up quickly, hopefully.
And well, they actually are. I myself, since I've been here, have not heard, and that may be that they think it's getting reimbursed, but when I went down and talked to them, I did not hear that as an issue. They did not say anything to me about it, but I actually didn't ask. So,
Okay, yeah, so if you could, that would be really helpful, I think, right?
great.
Agreed, Madam Chair, that was a discussion and a vote at a previous meeting.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. No problem. Any other questions?
I just had a question about, is this the nursing advisory board one that you do with some faculty and some staff at CCU?
So we have, it's more open than that. So this is a board that we have, yes, so there's the educator from, I think Sarah Provincia's on it. And there is human resources on it from Cape Cod Healthcare. There is a community member on it, myself and a couple of other people, but yes, Cape Cod Healthcare is on it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be, I also think it'll be advantageous for you and I to talk to Mike Walk again about, he had indicated he would help us with faculty in some way. Maybe we can get more, it's a really rough time of year, I know for you all. So maybe over the summer we can work with them on, and Dr. Green too, on partnering, some figuring out what we can do for assistance with faculty, because 3 down is a lot for technical faculty.
I know we did talk to him about having some relationship in the lab, because we talked about that, with the adjunct faculty coming in and doing clinical. I think we were gonna bring that up during the advisory committee too.
Yeah.
So that'd be great. That'd be great,
Yeah,
right?
let's put that on our calendars. for every bunch.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next we have, Dean Letico, who's gonna give an update for STEM.
Evening.
Ready?
You have in your package, exhibit K. It's a two-page, briefing It provides you an update on what is taking place in the STEM division. The presentation is going to augment what you have received in that briefing.
I'll do it for you, Ben.
Okay, thank you. The STEM division comprises of 3 academic departments. And what we have presented here on this first slide are the activities in the Department of Engineering, Sciences, and Applied Technology. This department has three programs: IT, computer science, and engineering, and advanced manufacturing. Within IT, you have 3 full-time faculty. In computer science, which is one of the more robust programs that we have no full-time faculty. In engineering and advanced manufacturing, you have 2 full-time faculty. In this presentation, we give an overview of the data from the academic year 24-25, and then the full data for fall. Fall 25, we have that data. As an example, within the IT unit, they provided 20 sections of IT courses. In those 20 courses, we have an enrollment, a total of 230 students. Within IT, we have a total of 158 majors. And in the previous year, we graduated 20 students. In computer science, on the other hand, we had 5 course sections enrolling 65 students. And look at the major. This is a single program with 7 majors. And the previous year, we graduated 2 students. In engineering and manufacturing, until spring last year, we had only 1 full-time faculty. Now we have 2. They presented a total of 10 course sections in the fall with an enrollment of 117. In those majors, you have 76 majors, and we graduated 5 students the previous year. Highlighted in orange are the totals for this one department. I will be carrying forward this total to the next slide. This slide, we have 2 departments: mathematics, Department of Science, and notice here we have general studies. General studies is the second largest enrolled program at the college. But this program, we have an enrollment of 336 students, but there is no faculty responsible for general studies. These are students who come to the college when they don't know what major they want to pursue. They are assigned into general studies. So as of now, general studies is, I believe, the second highest enrolled program at the college. Now, in mathematics, in terms of the program offerings for the fall, you will notice that about a half of the offerings is in developmental math. Developmental math will not lead you to a degree, but we offer 80 sections of developmental math and 20 sections of college algebra to calculus. So half of our offerings in math is developmental math. In the fall, we offer 38 sections. Notice the total number of students enrolled is very large because this is a service program. There are very few majors. In fact, we graduated only one student the previous year. In the Department of Science, we have a total of 52 course sections offered in the fall between biology, chemistry, environmental studies, and physics and astronomy, as well as environmental sciences. I have broken down the course offerings for this program. You will notice biology has a very, very large number of course offerings. Astronomy and physics also, because they also provide service courses. The department as a whole enrolled 1,079 students in the fall and graduated 15 students last academic year. The general studies on the whole, you see that in general studies, we don't have any courses, obviously, no courses known as general studies. But we have a total of 336 students. And last academic year, we graduated 50 students in general studies. I draw your attention to some of these offerings. In biology, we have a total of 7 faculty, full-time faculty. Chemistry, we have 1. Environmental studies, we also have 1. And astronomy and physics, 1. The next slide presents an overview of the other activities in terms of grantsmanship in STEM. This is for this fiscal year. You see that for the STEM network, we have a small budget of 20,000, and then we go down the line. So this shows us the various activities of these various grants. And the comment on the right side gives you the description of the activities taking place. So in addition to providing courses that our students need, STEM is also involved in grantsmanship. That ends my presentation. I'll take some questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Am I right in assuming that some of those students, for instance, on your previous slide, you showed, a fair amount of students, but then very few graduates. Is that because they're graduating in another concentration and they're taking courses? Like they're graduating in nursing, but they're taking math courses?
If I give an example, say from biology, a lot of the offerings support the nursing program, but biology itself has very, very few majors.
Right, okay.
And the slide shows the number of majors say in biology. Okay. Likewise, in mathematics, a lot of the courses offered support college courses in the college, but math has very few majors.
Right. So my other question is, based on some of your comments about staffing, are you lacking staff in some of these areas?
In some disciplines, yes. In fact, I had my budget meeting with Chris this afternoon. And depending on what Calvino decides, you might be seeing some in the budget presentation coming up.
Okay.
As an example, computer science has no full-time faculty, but it is the program with the most robust enrollment in the sciences. Likewise, we are thinking of proposing a program in AI and machine learning.
Right.
So down the road, in about a year or so, you might see some requests. But for this upcoming fiscal year, we are proposing 3 faculty positions in data science, computer science, and IT help desk. Some of these programs were approved some years ago, but until this academic year, they were not offered. So fall was the first time we started offering the data science program. Likewise, it was also the first time we started offering the IT help desk program.
Right.
Joe McGrail has a question.
Joe McGrail, do you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I was just curious, it seems like there's some majors that just don't have a lot of students enrolled, or at least not a lot of graduates, as Madam Chair mentioned. I'm wondering, like, what is the financial problem with offering majors that we don't have students in? Only because it seems like the upside is that somebody might see this major and say, "Oh, that applies to me." But what is the problem with offering majors that we don't have high enrollment in? When it seems like the faculty is able to teach a lot of courses that overlap inside of some of these STEM departments in courses.
Well, the bottom line is we have not had program review at the college for many years. So these are issues that would be addressed in program reviews. But as a comprehensive community college, we have to deal with programs that may have low enrollment, but they serve the community. So those issues would come up in the program review.
Do you believe that there's majors that are redundant or not adding value to the community that exist? Like, do you personally believe that there are, or would you not really have a perspective unless we had that review?
I think that review is necessary because it will set the bar across the college for review the viability of programs.
I think that's a great idea.
So let me just jump in and piggyback on that, just to add some more context. So with regard to the majors and the offerings that we have here at the college, the goal is to offer multiple pathways of success for students. So ensuring that we have a full gamut of different kinds of majors and courses that students want to pursue. A lot of those are for transfer, being able to transfer for institutions, as well as ensuring that students are also able to pursue pathways in workforce development or other avenues as well. I think one of the key things to also remember is that a lot of the courses that we offer at the college lead to a student, again, being able to transfer, but also provide them with a robust perspective in terms of general educational requirements that students are required to take in order to transfer. A lot of the courses, even where there are lower majors, potentially in that specific major, serve the college as a whole, meaning that those courses actually are courses that every single student who attends 4Cs is required to take to ensure that we have well-rounded students who have all those critical thinking skills, communication skills, all of those pieces. In terms of the review process, each year programs do undertake an annual review. So I just want to clarify that. With that being said, we are embarking on doing comprehensive program review, meaning starting over this next year in time for by the end of next year in June, programs will actually go through what's called the comprehensive review. So that's a more in-depth review that most places do over the course of 3 to 5 years. And then we'll also be creating a cycle to continue doing those comprehensive reviews. So we will also be looking holistically at the programs that we're offering at the college, and making sure that we have, again, well-balanced, robust offering of courses for students to take, and majors and programs for people to take based on the pathways that they want to pursue. So I guess I get a little, I'm a little more cautious about, saying programs being supposedly more valuable than others, because financial return is not the only thing that indicates value of an educational pathway or program. So I think one of the things that we try to do as a community college, especially, is to ensure that we're balancing all of those factors in terms of looking at the programs that we are offering for our students.
Great. Thank you. I think that sounds like a great step. Thank you. Didn't let you go. Anything else?
Oh, that's
Anybody?
all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was
Right.
nice to hear from you.
One other point of clarification with regard to faculty roles, we'll be looking holistically in terms of staffing and hiring, not just for faculty across departments, but holistically at the college, to look at those areas where we might need additional staffing and support due to our enrollment growth. But definitely paying particular attention to faculty hires and programs, full-time versus part-time, all of those pieces. And now I would love to turn it over to our wonderful Teaching and Learning Center faculty, who will be talking about our ADA compliance updates. And I first of all want to say a huge thank you to Trish, to Rachel, and to Kathy, who've been doing, I don't even know how to describe the phenomenal work that they've been doing, and also just ensuring that we are moving forward in a good direction with making sure that we're not just compliant, but accessibility, right? That's the key that we've been talking about. So I'll turn it over.
So hi, I'm Kathy. I'm Kathy Harris, and I'm just going to build on what Dr. Green said. So it's my privilege to introduce our 3 fabulous colleagues who make up the TLC, which is the college's Teaching and Learning Center. So Kathy Frazier is our Instructional Technology Coordinator, and if you don't know this, she's also an attorney, which could be helpful. And she has worked at the college. She's worked at the college for more than 30 years. And Trish Allen, a proud 4 Cs alumna who continued her education at Wellesley and Harvard, is a full-time English professor and co-coordinator of the TLC. And Trish will mark her 30th year at the college in September. And Rachel Bancroft, who is chair of the Language and Lit Department, chair of the Faculty Professional Committee, and co-coordinator of the Teaching and Learning Center, began working at 4 Cs in 2000. So together, Ben can check my math, they have 88 years of combined contributions to this institution. And what's made the TLC so successful is its mission and outcomes-oriented philosophy. Every semester, they hold dozens of workshops, all geared toward improving teaching and learning. Trish, Rachel, and Kathy are all instructional technology experts, offering training on tools such as Padlet, Perusall, and ScreenPal that are rooted in active pedagogy and in making learning accessible for all. So I believe the last time the board saw this team was close to 4 years ago when they provided a training on AI. And since that time, they have conducted extensive research on AI, delivering workshops at our faculty summer institutes. And this year, Rachel is part of a college-wide team that's attending the year-long AAC&U Institute on AI pedagogy and the curriculum. So in just a minute, you'll hear how the TLC is rolling out its training to help faculty comply with Title II's ADA compliance requirement. On the first slide, you'll see that our faculty's overall ADA compliance in Moodle, college's learning management system, is hovering around 67%, which is already good. It's important to note that when the TLC began its compliance training officially in January, the college was at 61%, which is nearly 30 percentage points higher than people at some other community colleges. And so the reason we got off to such a good start is that the TLC has been training faculty through a UDL lens, and UDL stands for Universal Design for Learning. They've been doing this for several years, and UDL encourages faculty to proactively design their courses to be flexible and accessible from the start. So you have students with differing abilities, different learning styles, and they can engage and succeed in their courses. So I just want to thank Trish, Rachel, and Kathy, and of course our dedicated faculty who've come to all these trainings, work on their courses all the time. So we're in better shape than most, but I have to tell you that the task ahead is still quite daunting. So I'll leave that to them to tell you about that.
We're terrifying. You can.
I'm feeling a little nostalgic right now. 30 years ago, there was an ad in the paper. They were starting a new department called distance education here at the college. And I was sitting in the back of the room today with Michael Batlick and Ralph Negron and Dave Ziemba. I think he's disappeared. They were the first adopters. And we went into a television studio here on campus and put them on videotape. And we put them on these VHS tapes and put them in a box. And students would pick them up and put them in their VHS at home.
I did that.
Oh, did you? So,
Did you have Dave? He was,
did you have Dave Ziemba?
Dave was a man.
I don't know where he went. But here he is.
He's our original star.
Yeah.
Really.
And the three of them were the very first adopters, and we're still here, and we've come a long way.
Lord.
I think we've come a long way too. But now to ADA. So we're all familiar with the American with Disabilities Act. That was passed back in 1990, around the same time, and over the years, provisions of that law, including Title II, have been put into effect in stages. So why are we here today? We're at another stage. So Title II now mandates that all digital media is accessible to individuals with disabilities. Everything that's digital, that includes our web pages, our outward web pages, our inward website, SharePoint, our LMS, Moodle. Every file that we use for instructional materials has to be ADA compliant. So it's kind of a daunting task. And, every Word document, PowerPoint, everything, every video, podcast. And what that means is that all documents have to be screen reader friendly. Images all need to have alternative text put on them. Videos have to have captions and just transcripts. Audio recordings need transcripts. Zoom needs to be closed captioned. Are we closed captioned today?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
I can't see it online, but it actually has to be on the screen now in front, and we should be using microphones because the law requires that we have amplification. Well, it will require on the 24th. Let's say that. Right after you turn in your taxes, you get ready for that.
And so luckily we've been able to purchase a tool called Ally. Thank you, President Green, for helping us purchase that. And this tool is really going to help us because it is a daunting task. And what this tool is going to do, it scans every document in our LMS. It doesn't work on the websites, but Patrick Stone, he has a tool similar to that they use for the websites. But it'll scan every document in Moodle, and it will tell you if that document has any ADA issues. And if it does, it will tell you what the issue is, why it's an ADA issue, and how to fix it. So, so that's going to be great. I looked before I came over here, and we have 147,000, not documents, because a document can have more than one issue, but fixes in Moodle today. So our work is cut out for us, but we have a plan.
All right, I'm gonna click this so that we can show more. Should work. No,
isn't working.
touch isn't working. Okay, well. Did you give us the next slide? Could you give us the next slide? Okay. Okay, so here's sort of the reality of what that means. At the college, every single course has a Moodle shell. And there are, I think, 606, better than 600 classes this semester. We have a Moodle shell for every course, for every semester, all year round, including the, you know, the summer sessions, et cetera. And what we were really surprised to learn as faculty is that we have come to a point where 51% of our course sections have an online component. And that means they are either high flex, fully online, hybrid, high flex, or remote. So every one of those seats a student is in, have every material, every file that is created for that course has to be ADA compliant, because the students are, all of that material has to be posted to Moodle for them to be able to access. So what we now know is, and then when we looked at the numbers of actual enrollments, more of our students, 58% of enrollments are in courses with an online component. More students are in courses with an online component now than in face-to-face, which, to be honest with you, shocked us. We thought it was going to be, you know, maybe a third online. So our job is to get all of these files compliant. And can you go to the next slide? So what that actually translates into is right now there are 169,507 files on Moodle right now for this year. And 67% of them comply, which leaves 56,000 more files to bring into compliance. We have tops 200 faculty that have to do this work. And this is not work. If you look here, now we have full-time faculty. We have broken out faculty a little differently here. 215 sections are taught by people who are full-time faculty. Some of these are DCE sections, but we have a different access to training full-time faculty because we can use our professional days. And we did that. We'll get to that afterward. But we have 126 sections that are taught by adjunct faculty who might be nurses, dental hygienists, coding professionals who don't, as part of their regular job, produce instructional materials. And now we are also requiring them to produce instructional materials that meet these very technical standards. This is a huge lift for our full-time faculty as well, who are teaching a 5-course load and who have, as we were shocked to find out, we grossly underestimated how many files were on Moodle. It's an enormous number. And right now, our first benchmark goal is to get the 642 syllabi, just 642 documents by the 24th. We're making really good progress on that. But I really think we can't underscore that this is a phenomenal task, that we are at this point, because there is no negotiated agreement, relying on the goodwill of faculty to comply with a federal law. And so, you know, we are really, people are working hard and trying to get this work done. And we believe in accessibility at this college. We have been on the forefront of UDL, of making that work. But I cannot underestimate how big a lift this is.
Go ahead.
We have more slides
Yeah.
too, but sorry.
Could you give an example of a document that would be out of compliance for ADA? I'm
Yeah.
having a hard time visualizing what that would be.
It would be an instructor's math solution notes in on a PDF. That document is very difficult to make comply. All documents, just documents, and we're not even talking about PowerPoints and other materials. All documents have to have style headings added to them. Almost no faculty understand the concept of adding headings. It's an advanced word processing topic. People use bold.
Sure.
They use that. Tables have to be formatted in a very specific way. They cannot have merged cells. They have to have designated headers and designated header rows. That's every table in every instructional document. Talk to the STEM people. They love their tables. Every link in every document has to be descriptive. It has to say exactly where it's going. It just can't say click here. And every image, including all of the images in art histories, professors, 1,000 images have to have alt text assigned to them. And there are no exceptions. We have asked. Dental hygiene, every document, every diagram has to be described. And that is the law, the way that the law was written.
Because the reader won't read that image. Or somebody who's visually
And
impaired.
No, I understand.
even if a blind person might never enroll in art history, knowing that they're not going to be able to see the pictures, the law or be able to enroll in a health science class, knowing they would never practice, the law says they have the right to pursue an education in that field, even if they choose never to practice. So, we should have maybe fought the law, but the law won. And
I have a follow-up, very similar to Laura's question. I actually teach as an adjunct at a different community college in Massachusetts, and I create all my own content and usually do video lectures. Could you just, not to just be instructive to me, but as an example, something like that, is it compliant or
It
how
has
would
to
you
be.
make it?
it has to have closed captioning.
It does,
Every
okay,
video has to be uploaded and closed caption.
okay.
And not only closed caption, would you like to say about the designated speaker?
Oh, yeah, so it has to be closed caption, and I know that, AI and, YouTube will do the closed captions for you, but it's not enough first to just have YouTube do it. You have to go through it and make sure that, the language matches exactly what you're saying. So that's gonna add some time, but also if you have videos, that are not just one person speaking, right? If you have multiple people speaking in that video, you have to announce who the speaker is. You have to also add audio, footsteps approaching, right? It's not enough to just have YouTube layer that in.
And our huge concern is this. We have spent years on active learning. And this is one of our biggest gains. Our last Title III grant was to really improve active learning. We get great scores on active learning. All of those materials, what we hear from a lot of our colleagues is, I'm just taking everything down. I cannot do this. This is too much work. I am not going to be able to make every one of these documents compliant. And that means a loss. We certainly can't expect people to do it without reimbursement. It's just not, it's a huge load. And if we want to preserve our active learning gains, which are all of the interactive documents and activities that faculty have created, the universal design, where we give students materials in different formats that are more accessible to them, charts, tables, we've converted materials over. And even we're not getting enough help from the publishers who, like Pearson, we've called Pearson and said, you have to do this. Well, Pearson's PowerPoints are to be shown in a room, but not to be distributed. So Pearson says, we didn't give you those for you to give out to students. We gave you those to give in a lecture. And so in that case, they're compliant. But as soon as you put that for a student to review on Moodle, then it fails in its compliance.
So we're gonna tell you what we've
Yeah,
been
thank
doing
you.
to address this. And I do want to say one more thing. Another nice thing about Ally is that I know we're proposing this as a huge lift, but I do want to just say how helpful it will be for our students, and not just for our students with disabilities. This Ally tool, when faculty upload their documents, students will be able to listen to them as an audio file. They'll be able to put them into a Kindle and highlight and annotate. They'll be able to, if they need to, view them in electronic braille. There's one other option for dyslexic font. So if you think about maybe like a nursing student who is driving home and they want to listen to their lectures on their ride home, this really kind of equalizes and gives a huge benefit to a lot of our students. So it is a lot of work, but it also provides a really equity and access. So, you know, we have Ally, we already went through that. The TLC has created a web page. You're welcome to use it. Where we have step-by-step videos. Right now we're focusing on the document compliance, but we're going to continue to add for all the different tools. And that's pretty extensive. We did get to train all full-time faculty on ADA compliance on document basics for spring 26 opening day. It's really great when we use that time where we have them all together to get things done. And then the TLC has been offering workshops. We've had over 45 in-person and HyFlex training sessions offered. We've had at least one faculty member come to those. So we've had good attendance at them. We also offer one-on-one
You can come to
coaching.
those too.
Next slide. So some of our strengths, you know, right now we're currently at 67%. We started at 60 for this semester. And as Kathy had said, you know, other schools were starting at like around 30%. So we kind of had a head start here. Other good news is that Moodle is already compliant. So that's a huge bonus. And that many faculty are already using UDL based on so many of the grant opportunities, training opportunities that we have. And then as mentioned, you know, the concerns are those image focused courses. I mean, picture anatomy and physiology. You've got pictures that, you know, you got to label all the different parts of the body and somehow you have to communicate that image, you know, with voice text. We have found apps that are going to help us with this. If you think about math, you know, some of the calculus equations, again, there are tools for this. But where we have to do a lot of research and a lot of work on it. Faculty, you know, we're pointing out that it's a lot of work. We're overwhelmed. Compensation is under negotiation. And we really want to point out that as we're making all these changes for the stuff that we already have, we have to be on the lookout that we are dealing with AI at the same time. We need to redesign our courses to meet the needs in an AI environment. So as we're fixing all our old stuff, we have to start developing all kinds of new stuff. And hopefully when we develop the new stuff, we'll be very good at the ADA compliance. But we just got, you know, it's a lot. So, and then of course we need a plan for a systematic review. You know, like we can get this stuff done, but like, who's going to check it? Who's going to monitor it? What is the process? So I'm sure that's coming.
There's a couple other points. One is that, that law, specifically requires that we are proactive. We can't accommodate a person with a disability. Every piece of material or data that's shared, not just through the LMS, but even emailed as a faculty member, has to be compliant without it being asked for us to make that, for us to have to make that, that compliance. So that, and the other thing that we have been told to be concerned about is that, there have been law firms that look to target colleges with class action suits. So we understand that this isn't just something we can sort of, meander along and do. There is an urgency here that we're trying to convey to everyone involved.
Sorry, I just have a quick question. I know that you said that you have until the 24th of April or something like that to be, how much time did they give you to get to the state?
10 years. So they were here 10 years ago and told us they were coming. And I remember because I was working on Moodle, raising my hand. It was in the old science building and saying, but not Moodle, right? And they said, well, we're coming back. And it was, you know, the first time we went around and maybe more even than 10 years, but we sort of knew this was coming, but the Justice Department finalized the regulations in January of 2025. So really with more sort of weight, about a year. And I think we are not unique in that, colleges everywhere, our publishers everywhere are scrambling. I think it's just something people didn't. I personally don't think any of us understood how much material has been converted to digital. I think that we were blown away to find out how much education is shifted into these modalities.
Joe Mazarella has a question online.
Thank you very much. I was just curious how we're going to track compliance. So how do we know that, you know, as we close out that remaining however many thousands of documents, how do we know that we're getting there?
Do you want to say about
Yeah, the Ally tool is going to track it for us. So I have a list on the back end of Moodle of every single file that needs some work.
But I will say that Ally won't get everything. You know, anything like a link to a video, any external links we're putting into Moodle, Ally isn't going to catch. We have to make sure we're doing that ourselves. So it's not foolproof, but it's a huge help.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
thank you.
Also wanted to mention that I am part of the Mass Colleges Online Consortium. And so I meet with all my counterparts, and we're actually meeting weekly at this point between AI and the ADA. It has a call tomorrow. We just have open office hours, and everyone's sharing their documents. Everybody's sharing anything, all their training. We're all sharing all our materials. So that'll help.
I'm doing some course redesign right now, and I'm wondering, and I was actually thinking about OER. Is there, have other faculty used OER, and how is that set up for this compliance?
It's more of a challenge.
The OER.
It can be.
challenge?
Some of the OERs are ADA compliant.
Okay.
But it's the same thing. If you're putting files in, you know, documents, you can put a book in it, and it will tell you, you know, chapters of books if they're ADA compliant. And we'd be able to work with that. But at least Ally will tell you if stuff I'm putting in compliant or not.
For years, the faculty here not only adopted, because we were way back in OER, some of the more available OER, which is, what is the word for that? We're using lingo here. Open educational resource. So instead of publishers' materials, people here created their own materials to offset student costs. Before free college, textbooks were costing students $1,000 a semester. So we started saying, oh, we don't need a book. I don't use a book. Rachel doesn't use a book. We made all of our own material to save money for the students. Now we have to be realistic that students, if we can get the publishers to get ancillary materials, you know, more available, an option is to have faculty. It's tough because people invested a lot, walk away from their own materials and order books, but that will have a per student cost, right? So, you know, if you're charging 20 students $100 for a book, then that's $2,000 then, is that right?
You know your math.
On that cheerful note.
That's amazing work. I remember somebody presented this at the opening day.
Oh, yeah, we did that.
Okay. And I was like, how are they ever going to tackle this? But nice job.
Yeah. The faculty have been great.
They are
I mean,
really.
and they're working on it. So.
Thank you.
Working hard in here.
I guess we'll need a microphone next meeting. We'll have to pass around.
And we have to remember to put the captioning on in our classes too for faculty. Those machines should have captioning on.
Thank you very much.
You're done right now.
Fascinating stuff. Thank you.
Yes, it is.
I guess so.
All right, everyone, thank you. Also be cognizant of time, but I do have a few updates that I'd like to provide. So I just want to say first and foremost, thank you to our Board of Trustees Chair Sabin and the entire Board of Trustees for your support of the college during this time of transition. Also, I want to say a huge thank you to my colleagues in cabinet, our larger leadership team, especially our faculty, our admins, our staff, and our students for all of your hard work, your resilience, and your dedication that have made this year a success, despite some of the challenges that we faced this year. So I do want to share a few exciting updates and accomplishments that we have achieved this year. So first, just presenting an actual update. AI is a buzzword. It's everywhere. We talk about it all the time. And it is something that certainly is impacting the state of higher education today. So as Rachel alluded to earlier, starting in the spring, actually of 2025, as Vice President of Academic Affairs, there were several initial meetings that we had, really informal. We had an AI, what I call the AI group, and we began discussions very early on to start talking about the potential impact of AI on our campus. I also undertook professional development through our CEO Connect and some other professional development avenues to do some of my own learning as well about like, what is this AI stuff and what are we doing? And so the other piece that Rachel brought up is that group that with the foundation support of a Bartlett Award, who are participating in the AANCU's Institute on AI, Pedagogy, and Curriculum, and we've been doing that over the past year. So all of these things led to the formation of an AI task force. The task force is going to be co-chaired by VP Thompson and our Chief Information Technology Officer, VP Hughes. The goal for this task force is really to come up with and build a framework for responsible, ethical, and the effective use of AI in administration, in student support, and curricular areas. The goal being to create a shared focus and a shared understanding and some general guidelines related to privacy, risk, and responsible use. So we are fast launching in some ways this AI task force because we do want to be able to get faculty input by the end of this semester. So we have a 6-week timeline to start. Please also note that this is not going to guide or direct classroom instruction. Faculty have academic freedom. So certainly issues related to curriculum and how faculty choose to integrate AI into the classroom or not, or have students use it or not. That is something that certainly will be a part of the discussion, but we will not be dictating to any faculty how you should teach your classes or to what extent AI should be used or not used. Really, the goal is to create a shared language and to create a foundation, a common language that faculty may be able to potentially use in their syllabi and in other places, and really leading to faculty-led and a governance-based plan. The other update is about the BRIGHT Act. So we are very thankful to Senators Sear and Fernandez who supported this proposal. And we propose to get $20 million to support the expansion of our allied health and nursing facilities. And good news, it has passed in the Senate and now is moving its way through conference. So please light candles, send good energy, whatever you need to do. This would be a very, very lucrative and not just lucrative, but really enhance what we can offer and what we can do as a college if we are able to get this and obtain this funding. So again, good energy, whatever you do. So this is a bond bill, and really it is authorizing $3.5 billion, not just in terms of impacting Cape Cod Community College as an institution, but really for public college and university infrastructure across the board, specifically targeting deferred maintenance, modernization, and sustainability. In other good news, transfer is something that we love to hear students transferring. We have, through advising and our transfer services team, sponsored 15 plus students did a whole day at Bridgewater State University. Want to also say thank you to Althea and Carrie and the whole team for supporting that trip. Also believe Anna went on that trip as well for the BSU trip. Is that right?
I went to UMass Dartmouth.
UMass Dartmouth. Okay, yeah. So really trying to make sure that our students get exposed to where they potentially want to go is a huge decision to decide on which four-year institution you want to go to. Just like it's a huge decision to choose higher education as a whole. So we want to make sure we provide our students with those opportunities to test the waters, see what you like, see what you don't like, check out the cafeteria, because that was the thing that helped me make my decision. Anyway, I digress. So the other thing that I would like to really have us celebrate is the fact that we have 40 new members who were inducted into Phi Theta Kappa, which is our National Honor Society for 2-year schools. In other news, Colby, our former student government president, was on a roll this year. He has excelled academically, his leadership, community engagement. And so he was selected for a number of different awards this year that I just want to highlight and celebrate. The 2026 All USA Academic Team, which recognizes outstanding intellectual achievement, leadership, and community and campus engagement. He also received a $3,000 scholarship and was recognized at our National Conference for the American Association of Community Colleges, which is AACC, in Seattle, and that was actually a few days ago. So here you can see VP Thompson, thank you so much, who represented us at this lovely event with Colby. So please, if you see Colby, please congratulate him for all of his hard work for this year. Also, our marketing team has had several wins as well. So our strategic communications and marketing team won 2 National Paragon Awards from the National Council for Marketing and Public Relations. So they took gold in the best radio commercial and bronze for social media. And also want to say a huge congratulations to our director, Patrick Stone, who actually chaired the national conference as the president of this organization. And that happened in Washington, D.C. this past March. So when you see Patrick again, please congratulate him as well. And then finally, in other news, big news that we're all looking forward to, I know I am, commencement, right? So that is going to be May 21st, 2026, at the usual place in the Cape Cod Melody Tent. We have over 640 plus students graduating this year. 640 plus. So again, I just want to say a huge thank you to all our faculty, all of our staff, all of our administrators. This number reflects what we as an institution do. We help students, right, to get to where they want to be, how they want to excel. We help students to reach their dreams. One of those dreams being walking across that stage, which I am so looking forward to seeing all of those students go across that stage for our graduation. And I think this year more than ever, we need to have a huge celebration. I want people screaming and shouting and crying and dancing. I will try to calm it a little bit because I can get a little carried away with the pomp and circumstance. I love it. So we are definitely expecting also a record number of attendees. The one change, because you know we have to have a change for this year, just due to the sheer volume of students that we have graduating, we're going to be flipping so that the nursing pinning ceremony is going to happen first, and then we'll have the dental pinning just to accommodate the large graduating class. We'll also have an update on the keynote speaker, which is going to be coming soon. But again, I just want to say a huge thank you to each and every one of you for all of your support. I think that again, looking forward to graduation. I think we have some really good things coming for us during graduation and also in the upcoming fall semester too. It is lovely out. I hope I didn't take too much time because I know we are a little past, but I did want to share this news with everyone. And that is all I have. So I will turn it back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I like it.
Thank you.
So, just a quick note, I didn't, when I was telling you about Sarah, I neglected to thank her. I know she's not here, but she did a tremendous job. She was an amazing student trustee, and we're really. I have made that clear to her in both in writing, but also verbally. She and I hope to get medical, so. I also have, this is just a quick note about an organization called Cape Cod, it's a Cape Cod Speaker Series. And we actually host them here at Sylvan Arts Center, and they have some phenomenal speakers lined up this summer. And the proceeds, part of the proceeds after they pay for the expenses are actually donated to the foundation. So I thought it would be nice if I shared this with everyone in case you are able to make it. I made one of them last year. I hope to take more. It was really, really enjoyable. So they're top notch speakers.
That sells out, it sells out quick.
Yeah, it does. It sells out. So, which is nice to film that center being used and during the summer. And that is all I have. I want to thank you all again. I think we have exciting times ahead. Thank you everyone who is participating and for all your reports. And it sounds like we have some even new things. Awesome. Woo. Thank you. All right. That's it. Ready? Adjourn. Oh, I have to take a motion. Oh.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor, Tammy Saban. Aye. Marty said aye.
Aye.
Joe Grail.
Hi.
Judy Quinn. Aye. Jordan Vasquez.
Aye.
Thank you for joining us online. Okay, now.
Well done, sir.
Right. I will, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. It's just preference on it.